go ahead and make our navigation here at the top. And we'll go ahead and make a new folder or group inside the header and call it main nav. And go ahead and make a text. I'm just going to make 8 spaces between. We can adjust that later. Alright, and we'll bring the font back down here in size. And we're going to make this Roman and bring the font size down to 18. Maybe put some tracking in there. And that should be good. They've got some dividers here. We may or may not do that. It's very subtle, you probably can't even see it. Alright, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put this kind of other navigation here. We're not going to mess with this here. We might do that a little bit later in a more advanced tutorial. We can of course make it here in Photoshop and pretty simply, but putting that into the site when we start working with HTML and CSS might get into an area I don't feel like getting into just yet. Let's go ahead and in the content area here, I'm going to hide the background so that I can see what these look like. We're going to go ahead and make a new shape, maybe zoom in so we can be a little more accurate. We'll make a rectangle, rounded rectangle, and I think 4-point radius on the corners should work. If not, we'll do it over. That should be good. And there you go. And we'll go ahead and rasterize it. And we'll call this button 1. And zoom back out. And we can go ahead and turn this content back on. Let's go ahead and duplicate these. So Control Alt and click drag, and we'll just leave like a 1 pixel area there in between the two. Should fit. Yep. Let's go ahead and put a subtle gradient overlay on it. So we'll choose gradient overlay. And we're going to make this a very light gray. Say OK. And OK. Copy layer style. Click on button 2, hold down shift, click on button 4, paste layer style, there you have it. Let's go ahead and make a group for these. We'll call them buttons. Drag them in there and minimize it. And let's see what we need to do now. The last thing we need to do is just make these labels, which, you know what, we can do that with CSS, so I'm not really going to mess with it. The only thing I am going to do is we want kind of like this little arrow here. So we will let's go ahead and make that arrow, and we'll make it in a separate document. Let's get the dimensions of it. So we'll get the marquee tool, the square marquee tool, and I select it. I went a little too over it here, so I'm going to hold down Alt and cut that out of the selection. We're going to go ahead and just copy this, Control Shift Alt, or sorry, Control Shift C, and that's going to select this entire thing. We're going to say File New, and whenever you have something in the clipboard, Photoshop will automatically assume you want to make a new image with that size. So say OK, and we'll paste it. We'll zoom in as far as we can go. Now, you know, it'd be really easy just to take their arrow here, but let's go ahead and hide it. I'm going to show you how to make this really simply. And we can turn our brush tool into the pencil tool, and we can make our diameter down to 1 pixel and make a new layer. Let's get the color we want, some sort of blue. That ought to do. And we'll just we can kind of get a reference here, so let's come down the middle, maybe 2 pixels, and then we'll kind of do a checkerboard. And there you have it. We made our own. What I'm going to do is hide this background layer, and this will be the first piece that we export for getting ready to build a site in Dreamweaver. Alright, and what we're going to do next is since we're going to export that, we need to put it somewhere. So I'm going to set up the directory structure for this new web page we're going to make. So, you know, make a new folder wherever you want. Mine is in my folder with my tutorials. It's called Full Site 1. If you're not using Windows 7, this may look a little different. Yeah, maybe I'll do a tutorial on Windows or something a little later. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click and we're going to say New Folder, and we're going to call this one Images. And what I always do is make a folder. So we're going to make a folder, and I call it Assets. And what I use this Assets folder is I put any original work in here that I don't necessarily need uploaded to the web server. Things like the original Photoshop document we're working on and things like that. So I just know never to upload anything that's in here because I don't need to. But I also know where all my originals are if I need to come back and work on a site later. This should be good for now, since this site's not going to be too crazy. So now we can go back to Photoshop, and we're going to save this out for the web, which is my favorite shortcut key, the Control Shift Alt S. Takes a little while for your fingers to get used to that one. That is the save for web. And we're going to make it a PNG with transparency, keep it at 7x7, and go ahead and save. The reason we want to do PNG is it's got the best transparency. With this one we probably could have made a GIF, but I don't know that it would really matter. And we're going to go to our folder, and we're going to go into Images, and we're going to name this arrow icon. And I really recommend that you kind of figure out your own naming convention, much like commenting, like I noted in the earlier tutorial when commenting your code. Having a standard naming convention for yourself or any team you're working on is really good. So then everybody knows what they're working on. You know, like for instance, here, anything that I'm going to make in here that is somewhat an icon will have the underscore icon after it. And if you know, there's a good chance I could have 50-some images in this folder or more at some point, and yeah, it just makes it easier to find what I'm looking for. So we'll go ahead and say save. Alright, good. And we can go ahead and save this Photoshop document too, in case we wanted to come in and edit it. So in our folder here, like I said, we'll go to Assets, and we'll say arrow icon, and say yes. And let's go ahead and zoom out of here. Go ahead and hide our sample, open up our design. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to move these buttons over to the left just a little bit. There we go. And we're ready to move into Dreamweaver. So let's go ahead and save this. I'm going to save as and put it in our assets folder. And say save. Say OK. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to leave Photoshop alone for a little bit and move into Dreamweaver, and I'm going to show you how to set up a website for this, or a website profile, that is.